Welcome to New Money, where we talk to movers and shakers about how they made it. I'm Rosemary Miller here with Jeezy Jenkins, and you may just know him as Jeezy. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today, Jeezy.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So in your book, Adversity for Sale, I love the name of that.
Yes.
You talk a lot about how you were depressed. You talked about how you were a thief. And a lot of your struggles to get to success.
Yeah.
So why did you find right now in your life, this moment, the time to write a memoir?
Good question. I think the time was now because I've been delivering my message through my music for decades, and I've been on a self-healing journey for about the last 8 years, and a good friend of mine, which was one of my mentors, gave me the book Think and Grow Rich, and that changed my life. And it was like this new information that I've been learning, I've been getting out of book form. So I thought it was important to give this information back to the culture in a book form, because that's how I was learning it. And I started to understand, okay, I could tell my story in a different way, because a lot of people heard my story through my music for sure. You know, we get bits and pieces, sound bites, but this is like the whole interview, if you will.
So you see a self-healing journey. Could you detail some of the things you struggled with?
I mean, you name it, it's all in the book, from trauma to depression to the PTSD to anxiety to trust issues. You know, same typical coming from the ghetto, you know, trying to figure your life out, getting burnt all along the way, you know, having to learn by trial and error. And it just does something to you. But as I began to get into my success, I just had to learn. I was just wondering why I was never happy about what was going on with me, right? Or why I wasn't enjoying it. It just seemed like a burden. It seemed like all the things that were mine that I had accumulated, that I could lose them any day, so it really didn't matter. You know, I was living short term, if you will. Like, I wasn't like planning for what am I gonna do next summer or next year, the year after that. It was like everything was kind of day to day. And I was just trying to realize, you know, I was trying to understand what was going on. And the more I dove into these books and just started to understand things about myself, I'm going like, oh, so this is childhood trauma. Okay, maybe I need to talk to somebody about that. Oh, this is anxiety. Maybe I need to talk to somebody about that. And I just started getting on this journey. And for me, it was more so like, the more I learned, the more I wanted to give back. Like, I mean, the more information I wanted to put back in the culture, because where we from, it's considered weak to talk to somebody else about what you got going on. You're supposed to just deal with it. We're told to just, you know, your grandma used to spank you and tell you, I'm gonna give you something to cry about. You better stop crying.
That's grandma.
Right. You know what I mean? But, you know, so we just grew up that way. And I just started to realize this sense of freedom when I was able to identify it and start dealing with it head on. And, you know, each block that I chipped away, I was just like, damn, I feel better. You know, I'm feeling lighter, and I just kept going. Of course, I'm still on the journey. It doesn't stop. But I just wanted to put it in the book. I just felt like, coming from where I'm coming from as a black man, I think other men need to hear this. They need to understand that it's never too late to start working on yourself. You know what they say, you can have a whole lot of money, but if your mental ain't right, you still broke.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But you talked about being burnt along the way. Could you detail what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, near-death experiences, you know, shootouts, home invasions, best friends stabbing you in the back, you know, stabbing you in your front, people, you know, that you trust, you know, taking things that they shouldn't have took, but you don't want to do nothing to them because you love them. People lying to you, you know, the manipulation, all that, because it's street life. So once you in the streets, you know, I mean, but I'm quite sure people go through that in the business world and corporations as well. You know, so it's, you know, but it's a little different in the streets because the consequences that come behind that are a little more dire. You know, you can get fired at your job, but in the streets you don't get fired. You either go to prison or get killed, you know. Yeah.
And you said the book Think and Grow Rich that was the moment. That's what happened to make you realize, okay, I got to turn my life around.
Well, I can't say it was the moment, because I always knew, I thought something was wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I just didn't understand what I was experiencing. For one, because I had nobody to talk to about it. That was one. And then for two, coming from where I came from, you don't talk to people about how you feel. It's a sign of weakness. You know, it's like being in the jungle with lions and you telling them you ain't going, you know, you're not going to run if they attack. It's the same thing. But thinking Grow Rich, when it was given to me, I just sat down with it one day and I just started going through it. And I would just find little things and I would be like, I wonder how this apply to my life. And then I would find something else. And it'd be like, I wonder how this apply to my life. And then something would happen. And I would go back to the book and flip through the pages and see if I could find something that, and what I was learning was I was getting the answers to a lot of things that I had so many questions, because I've always been a curious person. Yeah. You know, I always, you know, I'm just like that. Like, I want to know the knowledge. And for me, it was like, I just was figuring things out through this book. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, you know, somebody who has faith and you give them a Bible and they just didn't know they had that much faith. It's just like they're starting to learn the word. But I'm starting to learn like life and that this is a thing. It's not just me. Because that's what I was thinking. You know what I mean? This is me. I'm coming from poverty. You know, I'm going through these things, and that's just what poor people do. And that was not the case. Rich people go through this too, right? But they just have help and therapists and circles and people to help them deal with this. But you're talking about a kid that's coming from the projects who's made it out of that 1 percentile, and now you have some type of success. But you brought all your traumas with you, right? All your everything, your insecurities, everything. And now I got this book, and I'm sitting with it for hours and hours in and hours in, and I'm doing shows and coming back, trying to get back to the book so I can read it, because I didn't want to take it on the road, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't want, I got a tour bus full of gangsters, like you don't want them to see you reading a book.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, and I would get back home and I just go through it, and I just kept finding out stuff. And what the real shift was for me, that I would see people going through things and I just would know what to tell them. So just to put this in perspective for you, I learned a lot about the streets from music, and that was my book before music. Like Tupac Shakur, his whole life, everything he went through, everything that he was doing, everything he was saying, I was learning from that rather than just listening to it. Like, it was like my therapy, right? So I was able to navigate as a young kid through real situations by just listening to the music. So now this book is the new thing for me, right? So now I'm navigating through life using the book, right? And that's what made me want to, shift, because I was able to help people that was around me just by with the knowledge that I had. So that made them, feel like I'm still the big homie, right? Yeah. So now I'm like, well, how can this apply to me? So now I'm doing things that I'm getting out of the book, and then I'm also learning, okay, what is a mentor? Okay, I need to. So now I'm learning the guy that gave me the book is a mentor. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't go in it like that. So I'm thinking a mentor is like a whole situation where you got to sit down, fill out an application, you know what I mean, run your credit score, the whole nine. But it's not. It's like people who actually care about you. They want to see you do better, and they help you out along the way. And that's just what I became, through the book. And as I began to shift things, like it was small things like my health, because I wasn't eating right. You know what I'm saying? I was eating like, Waffle House, Cristal every day. I wasn't sleeping.
Okay, you said crystals?
Cristal.
Cristal.
I used to eat a little crystal too. Okay. But Waffle House, Cristal, champagne. And that was pretty much my diet, because all I was doing was like living the street life. So I was just clubbing, hanging out, you know what I'm saying, getting up at, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, doing it all over again, not drinking water. So I started with my health first.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what you would advise someone else to do, start with their health?
Yeah, because if you take care of yourself, if you take care of your star player, it's like being on a plane. They tell you if the plane get turbulence and those air masks fall down, put it on yourself before you try to help somebody else. Okay. Right? Yeah. It's the same thing. As I started to take care of myself, then my vision, I began to have clarity. So it was the decisions I was making they were clear. They wasn't alcohol infused. You coming from the club, you and your emotions about something, and that's the thing. Like, I wasn't just rapping, I was leading. You know what I mean? I was in the position of a leader. Like, I had neighborhoods and cities and men that would go to the end of the earth with me, right? And mind you, I don't even have the coordinates or the pin drop. I'm just going.
Yeah.
So they're following me everywhere and doing anything that I want done because I'm not thinking clearly. So I had to really sit back and be like, okay, my decisions are costing other people, things that it shouldn't be costing them.
Right.
And that's what I started to learn through the book, because it was a lot about leadership in that book, right? And as I started to learn that, I started to kind of like dial in on, okay, maybe I need to just take care of myself first. And as my health got better, I slimmed up. I was like 260. I got down to 185. Then I hit my sex symbol little run. That was good because all my fans were like guys, and then when I got myself healthy, it changed. You know what I'm saying? And that was like, oh. So that was the first sign of change for me. So that was the reward. I'm seeing it. I'm selling more records. I'm doing different types of shows. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, women are digging me. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that at first. And I'm like, wow, okay, well, what else can I do? So now I'm starting to work on, my relationships and my circles. And then I went from there to my mental health and so on and so forth. And I just been on that journey ever since.
So point blank, because I want the audience to hear this come out of your mouth straight. What are your views on therapy?
What are my views?
Yes.
I just feel like, I know it's not for everybody. I got one of my homeboys from Mississippi. Where you from? I could never tell him to go to therapy. He would look at me crazy. But I feel that if you're in a position to understand that there's things you have to face within yourself, then therapy is something for you. If you asking me, do I? Absolutely. Because if you ain't never came face to face with the devil, that means y'all going in the same direction. You feel what I'm saying? And I came face with him a few times. You feel me? So it's like I had to understand what was going on with me, because I had packed all this stuff away and never dealt with it. And then one day it all came out, right? And now it's just like, what do you do with years and years and years and years and years of all this trauma that you just basically been putting to the back and self-soothing? You can't go into adulthood with that. You know what I mean? You can't lead people with that. You can't be a fixture in the community with that. You can't help the next generation with that. You're damaged goods, right? And the decisions you're making are based off you being damaged goods. You have no clarity. You know what I'm saying? You have no sense of direction. You're really out of control. And it's like, as the success started to come more and more, started to really realize, like, I can help change the world, right? Rather than destroy it. So I got to work on myself before I can do that, though. Right? I can't go out here and not practice what I'm preaching. You know what I'm saying? I'm motivating people, but I'm in turmoil. You imagine that? You feel what I'm saying? So yeah.
So you said success started coming more and more. We got to get into the business and the money. Okay?
Yeah. We're the Forbes. We'll keep it light.
So tell me about the start of your rap career.
Right.
What was that hustle like?
I don't even think it was a start. I think it was a blurred line, because basically, I'm a street guy, and I was hanging out with some more street guys, and they was doing music, and I kind of picked up on it, right? But a lot of people didn't know that, music has always been something I love, a talent, if you will. But business has always been my passion. Like, I always knew what the finished product would look like with me. You know what I'm saying?
You said always. When did always start?
I always saw myself in a 3-piece suit, good skin, plain Jane watch, wedding band. Like, I knew that was what the end goal was going to be, no matter what. And I knew I couldn't get there straight from the streets to where I was trying to go. So music was the segue. It was a bridge, right? It's what brought it all together, because I understood early, because I came into the music game as a CEO, so I signed other people. But when that didn't work and all the money was spent, now I got to think like a CEO. So all the money's gone. What do? You don't got any artists anymore. You got a studio. You got to do it yourself. So that's when I began to get in the booth and start doing music myself, because I understood it, because I love music, coming up. Like, there's nothing about music you can tell me.
I remember you took that radio.
Yeah, you feel me? So I loved music,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, my man said, you should do it. And I was just like, all right. So I started getting in the booth. Of course, it took years and years and years, but and that's one thing people probably don't know about me. Like, my discipline and dedication is crazy. Like, it's unreal. It's unmatched.
Yeah.
There's if I want something, I'm going to, just like that radio.
Mm-hmm.
If I want it, I am going to get it. It doesn't even matter what it could be on another planet. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I just kept pursuing it, and as I was pursuing it, I was starting to understand that, like, cause at first I was just trying to make music, and that wasn't working. And then one of my guys was like, man, you really should talk about what you living, because I was living in the real time, and I was just like, yeah, that would be. But now you got to think about the consequences that come with that, because I'm still living that life. So it's like, different from where we say the kids put all the crazy stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
Right now, it's the same thing, right? But it just wasn't that type of time. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to talk about it the way I know how to talk about it, but in code. And what I realized is, as in talking about it in code, so when we talk on the phone, we don't talk like regular. We talk street lingo.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you won't get caught up and get no cases. So now I'm putting the street lingo in the music, and then who is the street lingo resonating with? The street people. And they're going, he want us, because they feel what I'm saying, because this is what they're doing every day. And that's when my career started to start moving a little bit. And then me being a hustler and knowing how to market, I went in, sat down with this guy, DJ Drama, and me and Drama sat down and we put out my first mixtape together, which was Streets Was Watching. So instead of selling it, because that's what everybody's doing, selling music out of their trunks, I just took the hustling mentality and I was like, I'm just going to give it away. So I pressed up like 200,000 copies and just gave them away for the next few months. And the first time I gave them away was at this big concert in Atlanta called the Birthday Bash. It's like our summer jam. It's like huge, 20, 30,000 people.
Yes.
And so I went out there with my team and we just passed the CDs out to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And kept doing that, kept doing that, kept doing that. And I started to get some buzz. And then I was like, yo, I'm going to do another tape. And this tape, I'm going to call it Trap or Die. But this time I'm going to press up 500,000. And we pressed up 500,000, and sure enough, we just kept giving them out, giving them out, giving them out, giving them out, until one day they called me for a show at this club, one of the clubs that we was giving out on the east side of Atlanta. And they only paid me $200, but it was a show. You know what I'm saying? I'd never been paid for music before. I've been always spending my money in music. Yeah. And it started there subtly. And as Trap or Die came out, I put a DVD with it, and because people didn't know what I looked like, right? And I put a DVD of all this stuff that I had been doing, just running around, my guy had a big, the big old school camcorders. And I just put the footage together and put this DVD out. And when I knew I was on something, I would go to my, my partners to their houses where they was like hustling at, and they would be watching it on the screen. I'd be like, yo, like, y'all know me, why y'all watch? He's like, yo, this is crazy. And I'm like, oh, I'm standing there with them watching me.
And they were supportive, not jealous.
I don't think supportive is the word. I don't think they can believe what was going on.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was very quiet.
Yeah.
I've always been reserved. Like, I've always been the type of person to come in the room and I'm going to listen more than I speak, right? And I'm going to always assess the situation. But now you're seeing me, I'm talking, I'm saying stuff, or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm charismatic, but nobody really knew that. You know what I mean? Because I was always about my business. So they was captivated. And I started to see it there, and then I would be out in the mall, and I used to wear this like big chain that said Jeezy. I used to always wear like basketball, football jerseys that I had made with my name on the back, because I was marketing myself.
Right.
And everybody just started walking up to me in the mall, and I'd be in the club, and it felt like somebody was paying them to come be like, yo, I love your music, because it just felt so weird. I never had nobody approach me like that. And after Trap or Die, that's when it started. Like, that's when I started to understand, like, okay, this is going to be something different. And I immediately went in and started working on Thug Motivation, which was my first debut album. And I think Thug Motivation did like 3 million. And I started working on it myself, like, meaning like I was paying for everything still before I got the Def Jam deal. And So I got to deal with Def Jam, and I got to deal with Bad Boy, because I was in a group called Boys in the Hood. So all this was happening simultaneously. Now, mind you, as this is happening, you know, this is like the first piece of success I had. I came out on a major label, which was Def Jam, sold over 3 million records. All this is happening, right? But I'm going through every war, every, like, you might as well think I was in Afghanistan, because as I'm coming into success, that's when the jealousy started, right? And it was just like, you know, it was a lot, because I was so well plugged into the streets that, you know, I was the guy. So everybody in the street knew me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, that was a battle, you know. If I'd had Think and Grow Rich back then, I'd have been good. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how to navigate it. But with all the trauma, what do?
Yeah.
You push back, right? Because that's where you come from. You're like, I ain't about to play with me like that. So it's that back and forth, building more trauma.
Did you feel isolated in that moment?
I started to isolate myself, because I started to notice that if I didn't move like strategically and militant, that I don't know if I would be sitting here right now. So I just had to start maneuvering. But I was always smart though, so I always had a lot of sense. So I just knew how to do things, right?
So what do you mean you don't know if you'd be sitting here right now?
I mean, just, you know, it was those type of situations. Yeah, it was real. I'm not gonna,
Streets.
Yeah, it was real life.
Yeah.
You know, do or die.
So at what point, like what specific point did you realize I made it?
Wow, that's a great question. So, between Streets is Watching, Trap or Die, which were two mixtapes, and then I had my first debut album that was Thug Motivation, and then my next album was TM. Well, my next album was The Inspiration, and then my next album was TM 103, right? It wasn't until The Recession, which was like my 4th album. So imagine from The Recession on back, that whole time I was depressed. Like I was out of my mind. Like it was all bad. Like I've never felt like that in my life. And it wasn't until The Recession when I don't know what happened. I just woke up one day. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. Because now I woke up, because the whole time I thought I was going to prison, because a lot of people around me was going to prison at the time. So it was just bad, you know what I'm saying? I was just getting ready for it, because I didn't want to get so caught up in the success if I got pulled off the streets that you know, it would break me, you know what I'm saying? And one day I woke up and I started, it was like the first 2 days I started working on The Recession. And I was like, I'm free, I'm good, I'm about to be a star. And I just started getting myself together, and, you know what I mean? Something just clicked. Went in and wrote The Recession, which probably is my best album to date for me. Yeah. And everything changed after that.
What do you mean everything changed?
I mean, I started eating healthier, being healthier, thinking healthier, moving healthier. It's just like the dark cloud went away, and it was just like light. And I was just like, yo, I'm leaning into it, right? And I just put everything that was behind me, and I went out and done what Jeezy would do. You see what I'm saying? Because before that, I was moving as if I wasn't who I was, right? I was still trying to hold on to the grass and reach for the sky. You feel what I'm saying? I let the grass grow, let it go, and I was like, I'm going up, and that was it. You know what I'm saying?
Like you was somebody.
Oh yeah, it was it. Yeah, because I took it in. Like I leaned into it rather than, you know, because, you know, survivor's remorse and imposter syndrome are real. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not a rapper. You're not. You know that. You know what I'm saying? You didn't grow up writing rhymes and battling people in the lunchroom. Like, you're not. You're just telling ghetto stories, right? Because that's what you've been through. You know what I'm saying? And survivor's remorse is, if I go on to be this person that I'm destined to be, then that means everything that I know and everybody with me is not going to be able to come.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They're not. There's no way you can bring all that with you, right? And I didn't want to let go of what made me what validated me in my heart. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like the reason why I was here because of where I came from. So how could I go over here and be one of them?
Right.
I'm gonna stay close to what I know, right? Which was probably one of the hardest decisions in my life, like working away from everything I knew. Like I'm just gonna give it everything I got, win, lose, or draw. You know, because if you fail, guess what? You ain't got nowhere to come back to.
So at this moment in your life, who did you trust?
No one.
No one.
No one.
Not your mama.
No
one.
Just no one.
Okay.
Not one person.
How did you manage your money at this time? Did you have a money manager? Were you
Oh,
spending
you talking to him?
Yeah, I'm
to
still
him.
talking to him.
Yeah, I mean, no, of course I got a
Yeah.
team now. But what I'm
Okay.
saying is, you got to think about it. I came from the street, so like
Yeah.
I was managing money my whole life.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Like I'm running a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like state to state. Like I'm doing it. Like I'm doing it like the right way, which is why I didn't get caught up. But I'm doing it the right way. Like I'm taking all the proper steps. This is not like I'm just out here just doing whatever. Like this is a business for me. So when I started coming into money, I already knew how to handle money. Like I wasn't infatuated with the money. I was more so trying to get to the freedom. You feel what I'm saying? Because I had places that I was living before music that were nice places, right? They just weren't in my name. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that was like the bad part about it, because now all my stuff is in other people's name, and my dream, and my goal is to one day have it in my name.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that was what I was working for. Like, how can I get myself in position that I can put this stuff in my name, and I can stand on my own 2 feet? Because you in the street, like you go put some stuff in somebody's name, they can take it from you, they can kick you out of it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. I mean, it's paperwork. You can't take them to court. The money, where you get the money from? You know
So
what I'm saying?
if it wasn't money, what do you feel like you valued at that time?
Freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Not respect. Nothing.
I mean, the respect was there.
Yeah.
Still is. Like I always, my name's solid. You know what I'm saying?
Do you value that?
Of course, because that's who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Earned it.
I'm that guy. You know what I'm saying? So, but respect without freedom ain't it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I wanted freedom. I wanted the nightmares to go away. I wanted to be in a situation where I don't have to look over my back every day. I don't have to wake up in cold sweats. I don't have to, so that's what any person from where I'm from, they want to one day be able to walk in that bank and pull out whatever they want to pull out, or go do whatever they want to do without feeling like they're going to come out and get put in handcuffs. You feel what I'm saying? That's freedom.
That's freedom.
Right. We all got respect. All the real ones, anyway.
Well, Jeezy, when you got your first lump sum of money, what did you go do with it?
I bought my mama a house.
Yeah.
My first legit lump sum.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first real check, I bought my mother a house.
You bought mama a house.
Yeah.
And
In my name.
in your name. That's
And
important.
then she called me and said, this my house, you put it in my name. I said, yes, ma'am. But I was like, your credit ain't as good as mine, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it, and then I'll switch it over. Yeah.
So, how do you invest your money these days?
Real estate is my stronghold. My real estate portfolio is really it's solid. Like, and again, like, I love real estate so much because it remind me of my former life. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing, but now you just doing it through the banks. But I love it because it's exciting, and it's like it fulfills me. Again, I can make songs, I can write books, but this is something that I do, right? And I know it's setting up generational wealth for my kids and their kids, and it's like I'm really good at it, right? And I got an amazing team of people around me, and I'm really good when I see something, knowing exactly, how I want to do it, what I want to do, and it's like I give them directions, they go get it done, right? And I love it because I grew up in a trailer, 2-bedroom trailer with my mom and my sister. This room is bigger than our trailer. So imagine 3 people living in something like this, right? And I always told myself if I ever, made it, that I was gonna own some stuff, because they weren't gonna be able to just kick me out and just have me in the street.
Right.
And owning property is like, I can't tell you how many ran. I ain't even tripping on the rapper card. Like by the way, I don't even like that. Right? They dress me as an entrepreneur. I'm just being honest. I'm not that guy.
Okay.
But it's nothing like being in a room at a table and you talking to people, and they can be business people, and you just having these conversations, and they start talking about real estate, and you're like, oh yeah, well, did you know I own this and that, and we have, and they're like, really, and they just get so they get so intrigued by the fact that you understand it and you're doing it well, sometimes to a better level than them, right? And it's and even the way you go about it. Like I did the book, I told myself, if I go New York Times bestseller, I'm gonna go buy another duplex, right? Single family duplex. Yeah. Just did that. You know what I'm saying? 20 units, I think. But that's instead of me buying a chain or watch, that's the reward for me, right? So as I make my mark, I'm always doing things outside of my regular deals, but I'm like, that's a gift for me. You know? So
you have real estate, you have the books. Could you list your other sources of income, and which one's the most profitable?
Well, I would say my business endeavors are the most profitable. You know, I have a steakhouse. I have a spirits company. I built and sold spirits, so I don't know if you know about Avion Tequila. Shout out to my partner Ken Austin. We basically built it up, sold it to Pernod Ricard, which is probably one of the biggest deals of the year on the low. And then I just acquired Nod Spirits out of Cognac, France. We have cognac, vodka, and gin. Defiance Fuel Water, which is athlete's water. It's major, probably, you know, Dr. Pepper, somebody gonna come pick us up. Like, let's go. And by the way, I'm gonna tell you what they know, because I can tell you what they don't know, because I'm still street. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I can't give it all up.
Okay.
But what they do know.
Okay.
You feel me? Monk always told me to let your right hand know what your left hand doing. So they know about that stuff. But you know, I just have a lot of great things going on, but it's all stuff that are on brand, like me, the stuff that I'm very passionate about. I don't do anything for just money. Yeah. Like nobody can come to me and be like, yo, could you you know, be ambassador for this, for that. If I don't have any equity in it, I don't want to touch it. I want to put my likeness to it. And if I don't believe in the product, if it's not in line with who I am and my morals and my values, I won't do it. Like my business partners tell you all the time, like, he's not doing that.
So from what we do know,
right,
what's the most profitable one?
I would say real estate.
Real estate.
Yeah, because even though everything else is making money, like that's holding money as well. You know what I'm saying? When you look at that portfolio, like you already know what it is. You can look at it and see exactly where the value's at, right? And it's still making income, right, on top of that. Okay. So just think about that. It's just almost like, but you know, we can go on further. Like, if you want to talk masters, like, I still own my masters, you know, all those things. I still own my publishing, all those things. So it's just like, there's so much on the table, right? But it's just how I want to move. Of course, I've never been money hungry. I do things based off of how I feel about them, and if I think it's a great move. But I also am not a type of person that it takes a lot to live anymore. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I keep it simple. Things I like, you know what I'm saying? As long as I make sure my kids straight. And also my management company, Agency 99, we manage a lot of brands, artists, and talent as well. Sports agency, the whole nine. But for me, it's almost like, however I can empower people, or however I can empower my team, and the people around me, that not like they hang out, but like people that I do business with. That's my mission, just to continue to empower us, you know. Yeah.
Well, I gotta know, what's the biggest money with steak you've made?
Oh, shoot. So where you want to start? The 5 or 6 Lamborghinis I bought when I got signed, I don't know. It's like, it was all bad.
Wow.
Oh,
wait, so what was your first car?
I had a Buick Regal, but I will say this. I've drove everything but a hearse.
Okay. Okay.
Anything else on 4 wheels I've had.
You drove it.
I drove it. It's been mine. For some point.
What are you driving now?
I mean, I joke about it. I probably got like 4 million in cars, but nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, I don't really drive like that. Like
You
it's,
can slide one my way.
I,
I could use
but
a car.
and I'm not saying that to be funny, because I
Yeah.
was telling one of my guys, I was like, man, you think I should just get rid of all this? Because I don't drive it. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
My lifestyle is different now, and I definitely don't value depreciating assets anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm not gonna go out and just buy another car. Now I might get a jet because of the way I travel, and maybe a boat because of the way I live. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have mind having something docked in San Tropez or somewhere like that, or Capri. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I can see that because that's how I live. But as far as like depreciating assets like cars and stuff, I just don't have my. You know, when you come from the streets and you had all that stuff, and then you get into the rap game, you get all that stuff, and you get into your grown man life, you just like, hold up, it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that anybody else should live like that, but I'm quite sure if you're getting any type of money at some point, you're going to start to understand that you're just giving money to these.
I imagine.
Right.
I imagine I've been there, done that
Yeah,
situation
you're just
as well.
giving money to these
Yeah.
these car lots, and it's just like, it doesn't make sense.
So what's the biggest splurge you've made since you made it?
The biggest splurge I made since I made it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, splurge, like spend some money, or just like whatever I spent the most money on.
Most money on
Real estate.
real estate.
Yeah, real estate.
Okay. What about some dumb money? You just
Oh,
threw it
that-
away, threw big money
I
away.
mean, that was like in about 05. I'm gonna clear that up. And that was in Magic City. They love me for it. They love me for it. I wouldn't call it dumb money either. You know what I mean?
Somebody went home.
Right. Well, my man used to say, "We taking care of single mothers." I'm like, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Well, Jeezy, what's the best piece of advice you could give to someone who's really just seeking to be successful and how to manage their new money?
Well, I would definitely say, as far as the managing the money aspect, definitely make sure you get people around you that you can trust, because these people are crooks out here. The lawyers, the accountants, they all crooks. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you come into new money. Just make sure you got somebody in your circle that you trust. It might even be somebody that was in your family that went to college that can just gotta give you some game. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying let them handle your money, but I'm saying that you just need people around you, because it's all about the team. It's all about who's around you. I got an amazing team. I love all my people. We built an empire together, and we're gonna continue to build them. My advice about just getting money is just like, no matter how much money you get or they're offering, you know, always know your worth, right? Your price is your price, but don't sell yourself for this money, meaning like, don't lose yourself in it. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, money come fast and it go fast too. And if you lose yourself, they always say, if you want to know who a man is, give him some power or some money. You know, and it don't work. It don't work for everybody. I've seen people get it and lose control, and the key part is just always stay in control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me
Thank you
today.
for having me.